Hey everybody, Dave here. Hope you're having an awesome day. So I was digging around in my little containers box and I found this little square cube container and I thought, I don't think I've ever built a little square robot before and that could be kind of fun. So I also have this little final faction. It's got some cool legs, so I think I'm going to do something with this. So come on, let's do it. All right, so here's that little cube thing I was showing you earlier, and it actually had this clump of magnets in it, and I got it at a yard sale for like 25 cents. So I still am looking for something to use these magnets for, but here's the final faction piece. If you don't know, this is a little toy line from the Dollar Tree, and I think these legs are cool. I just got to figure out how to get them apart. A lot of the final factions, they just unscrew, but this one is definitely glued together, but a little bit of prying and trimming a little bit, was able to pop that off, and now I've got 4 legs that I can mess around with. I'm only going to use 2 of them, and I'm kind of looking at this, and the angle of the legs is not quite right, and I think everything's just going to fall over. So I need to examine the legs and see exactly what can do, and I think I'm going to cut that foot off and then maybe build another foot. So all right, I'm doing a little trimming here. I did cut that foot off. I'm going to do a couple little pegs to go into the body, and I've got some Gundam parts here that I'm going to build a new foot. The foot, I think having a little bit wider base is going to help this thing stand. So I'm gluing this together, and what I'm doing now is I'm going to drill a little hole kind of in the ankle area and a little hole through the foot, and I just took a little piece of wire that I have, and I'm using this to reinforce the foot as I glue it onto the leg, just because there's not a lot of surface area there. So that's all I'm doing here is just kind of building a little peg. Put some glue in there, and that should slide right in, and it's really going to help reinforce this little foot. Let that dry. Yeah, I think that works. That looks good. All right, going to do a little bit of light sanding. I'm actually just using wet sand just to scuff the surface. And I need to figure out some type of hip joint. So I had that little tank piece, broke it apart, and I think this is going to actually work out really nice to give me something to peg into and a little bit of a separation from the box. I did some light sanding on the model part as well, and I am just using some thin set glue, and it actually worked really well. So sometimes plastics, they don't all like this, but this actually worked okay. You can see that little polystyrene peg is a little too small, so I just took some of this leftover sprue, and it actually is a perfect fit. It's actually really snug, so this is going to be nice to help hold my legs in place. So I went ahead and got 2 of those, and I'm not going to glue these in just yet. Instead, what I'll do is I'll drill a hole in the leg and glue the peg in the leg there. And then I think once I have that nice and tight and glued in, I can get a really nice friction fit. And I think that'll work out really nice. So I'm liking that. Now I found this little piece here, and it looked like a handle. And because he's a little box bot, I thought maybe he could be a cargo bot, and maybe somebody would like lift him up from those little handles. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those on. And then I found these little guys, and I was going to originally use these as vents, but after I laid them on, I thought it's kind of funny, but I don't know if it's too silly. But the more I looked at it, I'm like, I think I like it. And then actually, once I put the legs on and kind of looked at it with the legs, I thought it looks kind of like a little frog man, and yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. So that's what I went ahead and did. I'm doing a little sanding there just so it glues on better. And then I'm just taking my time, aligning it up. I'm actually using that line on the inside to kind of be my guide. And then again, with this thin set, I just barely touch it and it goes right on. It's super nice. So we got both eyes glued on there. I'll let those dry out, and I think that's kind of fun. I got this little piece here as like an antenna holder, and I need something for the back. It's not quite right, and I have this part from an old phone that I actually took apart and just ripped the guts out. Not even sure what that is, but it has this cool like backpack mechanical look. So, and it's got a little hole in the bottom, so I might do a wire through that. So put some glue on there, stick that down, and that worked out pretty nice. Now on the leg, I was just looking at some washers that I had, and I thought this could be interesting to make it a little bit more mechanical. So I went ahead and glued those on. And here's a little piece of guitar string that I'm going to use for my antenna. It fit really nicely in that hole. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll snip that down to size and then glue that into place. So just putting a little bit of glue on there. I got it trimmed down and we'll plug that in, and that looks really nice. I might paint that later, I'm not sure. So here's that little wire. I stuck that in through there. I want to potentially just run it around to the side. So I went ahead and drilled a hole. I got the measurement, the thickness of the wire, and then found a drill bit and got a perfect little hole in it. Is a really nice snug fit. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of pressure fitting it in there, kind of aligning things up. I'll get everything exactly how I want it and glue it down, and I think this gives a nice mechanical feel to it. So I think looking at this, I don't think I'm going to do much more to it. I think this works. Yeah, so I went ahead and primed it, and then after I got all the little parts primed, the legs, I made these new little clips to hold things, so that's kind of cool. I'm going to spray paint it a silver color because I just want this to be kind of a metal robot, a little bit more utilitarian. And then I have a wash. I'm out of Nuln oil, so I'm just using shoe polish, black paint, and a little bit of water, and that's working out pretty decent for me. So I'm just doing a wash over the whole thing, and once I get that wash over the entire thing, I'll just take a paper towel, kind of damp it down, and I do this maybe 2 or 3 times. And now I'm just painting the hip joints black just so they kind of blend in a little bit. Adding a little bit of color here and there on the back, maybe to look like a little canister or something. And then painting a little bit of yellow on the handles, again, just to kind of add a little variety. The all metal was a little too much. And I think the eyes, I was just kind of looking at it and I wanted to add just a little bit of yellow on the eyes. And I think this is subtle enough that it works pretty nice. Now I'm going to do kind of black chipping around the edge. I've done this on the last few builds, and I'm getting a little bit better at it. It's something that I want to continue to practice. And then over to the legs, I'm actually just adding a little touch of yellow here and there on the legs, again, just to kind of tie it all together and give it a little bit of interest. Now I did the black chipping on the legs, and for whatever reason on the yellow, it turned out really nice. I was really pleased with how it looked. So yeah, here's the foot and the leg all painted up. That's looking really great, and there's a little bit of that chipping that I was just talking about. I'm really pleased with that. So now what I'm doing is just a little bit of a rust wash, and again, that's gonna just give a little bit more age and weathering to it, and I'll do that kind of throughout the whole build. And I think we can call this one done. Okay, that was a super fun build, and it wasn't that complicated. It was actually a pretty simple build, and it's just paying attention to things that you have laying around the house that you're like, hey, I wonder if I could turn that into something. And just having that vision. That's what I'm always trying to encourage you to do, is think outside of the box. No pun intended. But yeah, I think he turned out cool. Let's do some turnaround shots of this, and as always, it's a great day to be a toy nerd. Have a great one.